Another check on markets today. Stocks taking a breather from last week's big rally. The Dow dropping more than 200 points, the S&P dropping nearly 1%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq leading the losses, down more than 1%. Shares of Hasbro dropping more than 2% after a bearish note from Bank of America, the stock's worst day since March of 2020. Turning now to the big meeting that took place in Bali this morning. President Biden and Chinese President Xi met for 3 hours and discussed everything from nuclear weapons to Ukraine to Taiwan's independence, the two downplaying tensions and pledging more communication between the two countries. For the real takeaways, let's bring in CNBC contributor Dewardrick McNeal. He is also the senior policy analyst and managing director at Longview Global. Dewardrick, always good to see you. 3 hours isn't a long time for them to really iron out differences. What did you make of this meeting? I mean, it seems like a step in the right direction, at least.
Thanks for having me, Melissa. Look, I think you're absolutely right. This meeting was absolutely a step in the right direction. This was about guardrails around competition and really setting up what many people will consider to be the terms of coexistence, Melissa. And I think this meeting went a long ways in doing that. A lot of people have been calling for, and I've said the same thing, a multi-level ongoing dialogue mechanism to help manage through this challenge that we are facing in the U.S.-China relationship. And I think this meeting went a long ways in doing that. Biden talked about Secretary Blinken traveling on to China after this to continue those discussions. He talked about cabinet-level officials meeting with their Chinese counterparts to talk about some of these issues. And look, Mr. There hasn't been a cabinet-level visit to China in over 3 years. So this is an important step. I agree with that. But I want to be cautious here that in order for these dialogues to really work and help manage through the challenges, they have to remain open and viable. And China is notorious for turning these dialogues off and on to show their displeasure with the U.S. for one thing or the other. After Speaker Pelosi visited Taiwan, China turned off 8 dialogues to include mill-to-mill, counter-narcotics cooperation, and climate change. And look, that just can't happen if we're going to manage through these challenges. These dialogues have to stay open, specifically during times where there are concerns and crises.
But do you think that this meeting marked any sort of a change in the direction of our relationship, a course correction, the beginning of one at least? Or is it way, way, way too early? You seem like an optimistic guy. I'm by nature not really, so I'm very skeptical.
Well, I think you're right to be skeptical in terms of what people are calling a course correction. This was not that. Look, the long-term strategic trajectory is set. It's competition. But the question is, how do you do that? And do you do that in a way that doesn't lead to conflict? That's what this was about. But for those who think we're going to return to the days of 2005, and that's not going to happen. The U.S. and China has made it clear that competition is the way forward. Both sides have competing visions about how the world should be ordered. And that's not going to change with today's meeting. That won't change even with the dialogue mechanisms that we're discussing. But it's how you compete that matters. It's trying to find ways to cooperate where you can. And again, trying to find ways to coexist. That's where we are with today's meeting. And I think over the long term.
Dewardrick, it's Tim. Yeah, and in fact, I think that's how some of our greatest diplomatic relationships have gone in other parts of the world, too. And not communicating is the worst thing we can do. And I think we're doing this around the world. But my question is, and I hear from the Biden administration's comments that we've reiterated over and over our stance on particular issues. So no one will be surprised when, in fact, or disappointed by our view sometime later. Now, I don't know if the Biden administration wants to get to Taiwan, but we're hearing other members of Congress say, hey, McCarthy's talking about heading over there. There's a lot of people that for some reason want to whack this hornet's nest. And I'm just wondering what that's going to do.
Well, Tim, you're right to raise some particular concerns about a Republican-controlled Congress who have a lot of additional things that they'd like to see done. But look, I have to give President Biden some kudos. He was as clear on Taiwan as I've ever seen him today. He stated clearly that he is opposed to a unilateral change in the status quo, that U.S. policy around Taiwan has not changed. And he didn't deviate, Tim, as we've heard in the past. So I think that's refreshing for individuals who would like to see this toned down a bit. But to your point, I don't think the Biden administration can control what's going to come from Congress, but at least the administration was clear how they're looking at this particular issue.
DeWardrick, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Melissa.
DeWardrick McNeal of Longview. Guy, geopolitical has been top, on your list of wild cards for this year. Does this meeting make you feel any better? No imminent attempt by China to invade Taiwan. That word imminent seems to jump out at me.
Yeah. Imminent's a scary word. I'm in your camp. I'm one to sort of, I'm always the half-empty person, without question. But this was a good step. And I'll just throw this in there. The fact that Buffett comes out and is, with that stake in Taiwan Semi, I mean, he clearly understands what's happening on the landscape. So I guess in a certain way, that's his way of dismissing or saying, you know what, maybe there's only a 10 or 15% of something happening there. I still think things are going to escalate at some point. This obviously is a good first step, but, the Chinese are going to do what's best for the Chinese. That's always been their game plan.
Yeah, I'll just say this. I tend to also be a skeptic about some of this sort of stuff. I really see a place in 2023 where maybe the things in Ukraine really calm down a bit. It seems like they've done things that none of us expected when Russia invaded them earlier this year. And it seems like that could, and diplomatically too. I mean, there's some movement with the Biden administration and some people over there. And then if the China thing is off the table for 2023 with Taiwan or something, we could have a much more, just a calmer geopolitical situation, which I think would be great for the global economy that has no shortage of headwinds, really still reeling, I guess, after the pandemic.
It has been like a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. We were talking about companies that operate in China and how they should be concerned. Maybe there should be some sort of a discount embedded in the likes of an Apple or Starbucks or any of these. Is that off the table now? Is that gone, do you think?
Which do you think is gone? Is the growth gone or
No,
skepticism?
the skepticism.
Oh, not for me. It's not gone. No. Ironically, though, for all the things you're talking about, which could happen, it's inflationary.
That's the point. So when I think of the whole China thing, because that's exactly right. I mean, China, everything about the China relationship, bottom line back here, it's inflationary. It's onshoring. It's nearshoring. It's China was exporting deflation for 40 years. It's a lot of different things. Globalization is dead. China is a major consumer of energy. They're going to get it wherever they can. They're going to compete with it. So all of this means that the inflationary pressures that we think are going to go away overnight are not.